Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Misao here, and sorry for not uploading this yesterday, but I was currently working on a video that I will definitely get to you guys tomorrow. But it's currently Monday, and I decided that, it would be interesting to talk about a bunch of things here today. So to start off, we'll just do our normal Dream Journal stuff. One thing that I wanted to talk about was military parades. Now, you might think of military parades at first and be like, oh, isn't that the stuff that that North Korea and Russia and other places like that are doing just to look powerful, because in actuality we're really not? Well, yes, but it's more than that. Military parades can be many things. It can, of course, be like what we've talked about before with authoritarian dictatorships, parading around their military and weapons and stuff to look powerful. But it can also be to honor, soldiers that were lost in wars, like for instance, Veterans Day, which I'm pretty sure is today. I don't really know, I might be wrong on that, but things like that. There would usually be military parades, albeit smaller military parades than ones that you'd see in North Korea and Russia. And these types of military parades, I think, they're fine because they're meant to honor fallen troops in a nice and respectful way, which of course has the military parade around, as a symbol of remembering those troops and stuff. Which, I got wrong. That's technically on Memorial Day. Veterans Day is to celebrate the troops that served in battle, which I think is also equally good, and that's done on Veterans Day. My apologies. Memorial Day is, of course, to remember the fallen troops. And I'm not exactly well versed on if military parades are done on Memorial Day. I honestly don't really know. But what I do know is that there's, of course, a military parade that the government's been talking about, which is going to happen on Trump's birthday in June. I'm pretty sure it's June 20th, last I checked. I don't really know. And of course, June is when I have my birthday, which is the 6th. And I'm very embarrassed to have a birthday to share a birthday month with the guy that's ruining our country. But you know what? Let him do his military parade. There are, of course, many more. There are, of course, much worse things to worry about. So yeah, that's something. Another thing I want to talk about is, I guess, it specifically has to do with Disney live-action remakes. And no, we're not talking about Lilo and Stitch, even though, from what I heard, it wasn't dumpster fire. What I want to talk about is the ones that, like Ariel, which is The Little Mermaid, and Cinderella. Those two remakes have one thing in common that people find controversial. And before I say this, I want to make a quick disclaimer. No, I'm not trying to be racist. I have a good reason for why I want to talk about these things. It's that, in the original Walt Disney versions of The Little Mermaid and Cinderella, Ariel and Cinderella were portrayed as white. Or, well, no, and not The Little Mermaid and Snow White. Of course, my apologies. Yeah, I don't think they made a live-action Cinderella yet. Hopefully they never do. But yeah. So Ariel and Snow White were in the original versions portrayed as white, and in the new ones, Ariel is portrayed as black, and Snow White is portrayed as Hispanic, or Caucasian or Latino. I think it's Latino. My apologies if I get this wrong. Let's just say Latino. And, which, of course, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as they're portrayed well, and I'm sure that the actors really did do their best. And so good on the actors. And this is not all blaming the actors or anything, but it's just that, you know, a lot of people, along with, you know, black people of other races, from what I've heard, can confirm that this portrayal of making Ariel and Snow White not white is a bit condescending. That's the message that I'm trying to get here. It's that, well, it's that Disney, you know, is putting these movies out there and being like, oh, you want to feel represented? Oh, here you go, now they look like you. Which is just very kind of condescending. And they're also currently, I've seen these ads out there trying to kind of, in my opinion, erase the fact that Ariel was originally white with like these Lego sets, and there's even like a Nick Jr. movie, not movie, show that features the black Ariel, which in my opinion is kind of just wrong, because number one, it's like not really honoring the original The Little Mermaid, and number two is trying to kind of lie to your audience by being like, no, Ariel was always black, and just trying to make it look less condescending, which is not cool, man. The same thing goes for Snow White, as I'm sure they'll probably come out in the future. They'll probably come out with like a show and a Lego set that features Snow White as not white, which is, again, with the issues I stated before, and like, you know, it's, in my opinion, fine to make Ariel and Snow White, you know, not white, you know? I'm sure, like, you know, as long as it's not trying to put the message out there of being condescending, but instead, you know, making it so that, you know, just with the goal of trying to make a good movie rather than a movie that caters to these specific audiences, which the movies, of course, backfired into catering to black and Latino or Caucasian or Hispanic audiences. Again, I'm sorry, I'm not good with races, okay? That's my bad, and I take full responsibility for that. But now, you might argue, you know, about some other specific IPs that, have portrayed characters as not their original, skin color, and being like, oh, well, what about these? And that's a good question, and I'm going to go with, you know, I'm gonna bring out some, like an example here, that being the Miles Morales Spider-Man, which shows Spider-Man, who is usually portrayed as white, as a black person. And this is okay, you know, because this character is different from the Peter Parker Spider-Man. They made him a different character, and it is not just trying to be like, oh, hey, there's a black Spider-Man, but that's not the point of Miles Morales. The point of Miles Morales is that it shows that anyone, whether you're white, black, Asian, Caucasian, Latino, Hispanic, you're even boy or girl, you can still be Spider-Man. And I think that's a really good message that Marvel Studios put out. You know, it's an inclusive message. And also, these are two different characters, so it's not like trying to condescend to an audience of black people being like, oh, hey, now Spider-Man looks like you, so you can feel represented. Like, it's not like that. And I would even be okay if they portrayed Spider-Man as a black person. Like, a good example is in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. They portrayed Electro as a black person when in fact in the Marvel Comics and original continuities he was portrayed as a white person. It wasn't trying to cater to the black audiences being like, ooh, hey, now Electro looks like you so you can feel represented. No, they wanted to put a good actor in the role of Electro. See what I mean? If you want to have another Spider-Man example, then I got two more for you. take for instance, Hobby Brown Spider-Man, a Spider-Man who's viewed as more of a like this punk rock character, you know, trying to fight against, the ones in charge, the dictators in charge, or whatever, that being the Norman Osborn of that universe. He's also a black Spider-Man, plus he's British, and he's a different Spider-Man from Peter Parker. And if you want another example, this one for the girlies in my audience, what's up girls, then I give to you Mayday Parker, who's, they're still white, but they're female. This is not just like another universe Spider-Man, but instead she's Peter Parker's daughter, another different Spider-Man. So you can have, so what I'm trying to say here is that the bad thing isn't that that the Black Little Mermaid and the Latino Snow White, it's not bad that they're black or Latino. It's that they were put, out to the audience as more. The message was trying to be condescending and trying to be like catering to be specific audiences. That's the bad thing. Whereas it's okay to make a character not be their original gender or race, when it's either trying to put a good actor to fill the role, or when it's simply a different character entirely. See what I mean? Okay, this might have been a more controversial one. I'm sorry if my take, or if I did anything to offend my audience, I do apologize. Let's get a lighter thing out here. Let's do a Misa's Dream Journal. This is gonna be like a conglomerate of things. And I don't know if I used that word correctly or not, so I'm sorry. But this first segment has to do with Danganronpa. It's kind of like this whole Danganronpa-esque thing where they got all the characters together. Except in kind of a different way, because you don't just have the characters from Trigger Happy Havoc, Goodbye Despair, Ultra Despair Girls, and Killing Harmony. We don't just have those guys, but we also have characters from the Danganronpa free anime, more specifically the Future arc, which features the members of the Future Foundation. And so we've kind of got our select group of people. That being we've of course got Makoto, Kyoko, and Aoi and Aoi, and as well as the members of the Future Foundation. We've got Kyosuke, we've got Chisa, we've got Munakata. So we've kind of got everyone. As for the rest of the cast, they're kind of locked into the three separate rooms. One for each group. If I had to guess, everyone from Ultra Despair Girls has to go with the characters from Trigger Happy Havoc. I guess it would just make both. It would just make the most sense. And they're trying, and so our current group right now, they're trying to find, if I had to guess, Monokuma, as well as if I had to guess Monami and the Monocubs, I had to guess. And then once they're found and taken out, then everyone's kind of let out of their rooms. And apparently some of the students ended up dying as near the group from Trigger Happy Havoc. You can see Ishimaru has died for some reason. I don't know why. I thought everyone was safe in their rooms, but I guess not. And also on the walls, you can also see pictures of each of the students. For instance, you can see Kamaru, who's not a student. We've also got Mio Iruma, who's not a student. So in actuality, we've got two people who aren't students, but I guess it's just everyone in Danganronpa. So I can see why they're on there. But leading after that, we've got one that's actually pretty interesting. This one needs a bit more context, which also has to do with my childhood. So, of course, I'm physically male, but when I was younger, my dad would work a lot, so it's not like where he's gone for days and we never hear from him until he comes back, but it's more like he works a lot during the day and he does come home a lot. So I do hang out a lot with him, but mostly it's just me, my sister, and my mom. Of course, they're all women, especially my sister. And so while she's there, you know, we watch a lot of TV that's a lot of girly stuff, which I actually do like. So, three interesting things about my childhood is that, of course, I was raised mostly around my mom and my sister, and also my dad, but just not as much. And of course, no shade to him, he was still very present in my life. And also, number two is that I spent a lot of my time playing with a Shopkin that I got from a Happy Meal, so that's something. And number three, in my free time, I would watch My Little Pony and Ever After High. So, My Little Pony, I'm sure, needs no explanation, especially with the brony fandom. I'll admit, as a kid, I was definitely a bit of a brony, but I've definitely grown out of it now as a teenager, so still a kid, but just older. Now, for After High, I definitely think needs a bit of an explanation. It's a show that was, of course, created by the Mattel toy line, or like Mattel, the company, who's best known for creating Barbie, Monster High, and Ever After High as well. But my sisters never really liked Monster High, so we never watched that. Apparently it scared her, but I don't think it would have been as good. Now, Ever After High, on the other hand, is definitely a kid's show, but the quality of it is something that you'd more see in, like, the early MCU, or, you know, just other, you know, more adult things that are more targeted toward adults, so they usually probably need a lot more quality. But what I'm trying to say here is that the quality of Ever After High is really good. From the storyline to a lot of other things, it's just a really good show. I'm gonna rant here a bit, but I don't really care. It's my video. You clicked on it, so whatever. So when it comes to the storyline, it has to do with this high school of people who are descendants of fairy tale characters. From, of course, like I mentioned before, The Little Mermaid and Snow White, as well as Cinderella, to other characters, including the villains. You know, there's definitely a wide range of characters here, and they're kind of, you know, like sorted into these two groups. The royals, who are, you know, have more of the mindset of wanting to continue the story of their ancestors, and for rebels, who, like their namesake, you know, kind of rebel and want to, you know, do things their own way, which is definitely what I kind of identify with a lot more. And we follow our main character is Raven Queen, who's the descendant of the evil queen from Snow White's story, and Applewhite, who is the descendant of Snow White. And Apple's a royal, and Raven is a rebel. And they've got a good friendship with an interesting dynamic. With Apple being more of the sophisticated, you know, cheery person who's going to be the future queen of the land, and fantasizes about her Prince Charming, as well as wanting to, you know, be cursed by Raven so that she can fall asleep and then be kissed by her prince and then become the queen. And then there's Raven, who is a bit more emo, but still cheery, and kind of doesn't want to take you know, become like her mother. That's not what she wants to do. And then there's also a lot of drama that goes on between those two throughout the series. And honestly, the series really impressed me because it's a storyline that's not afraid to get gritty. And, the art is also really well done. It's definitely, it's very unique. And also, there are just a lot of good characters, and not to mention the soundtrack is also really good. And it's just really well done. So it's a shame that it got canceled because I guess they wanted to do production on more Barbie shows and movies, or wanted to put more effort into Monster High. But it was a good show while it lasted. I've seen every episode that's available on Netflix, even recently. But of course, going into the dream, it follows a lot of My Little Pony, with some Ever After High elements sprinkled into it. And so we've got it's not the end of a climactic battle. This by the way takes place in the Equestria Girls universe. So of course we're going to see more of the Equestria Girls versions of the ponies and stuff like that. So after this climactic battle, they're all kind of partying. If I had to guess, this is an event that's connected to both the original Ponyville continuity and Equestria's continuity, because all the ponies from Ponyville go through the portal into Equestria and they party there, and for some reason none of the ponies turned into those human characters, so we just have ponies and humans running around and stuff, which is interesting. And then we got some of the Ever After High characters sprinkled into it, so it was a bit weird. So I might as well just that's honestly kind of all I remembered. So then we'll just go into the final portion of our dream, which has to do with a little known show on Disney XD by Alex Hirsch, known as Gravity Falls. One of the best kids shows of all time, hands down. It's a good storyline that like Ever After High is not afraid to get gritty, and there's also this storyline with bits and clues sprinkled around because it's, I don't know, it's just really well done. And the storyline follows the Pines twins, Mabel and Dipper, who are told to go to Gravity Falls by their parents for the summer. And also, this whole series takes place in the span of a summer vacation. And so that's when one day in the woods, in Gravity Falls of course, Dipper finds a journal, and of course, because he's a nerd, he wants to find out who wrote the journal, and so that's what half of the series is focused on. And meanwhile, you get to figure out these strange creatures. You get to see all these creatures that roam Gravity Falls, because Gravity Falls is a weird place full of interesting creatures. And then Dipper finds out who the author is, but of course I don't want to spoil all of that because I'm for the people who never seen the show before, I want you to see it. But yeah, it's all around a really good show. And as for the dream, it follows the characters Grunkle, Stanford Pines, and Stanley Pines when they were younger. And apparently this is apparently also the journals and the secret lab under the Mystery Shack, which is the main setting of the show. Apparently all of that is real in this, so there's probably an alternate universe thing where Stanley and Stanford grew up in Gravity Falls. And by the way, I said that I wasn't going to spoil the series, but then I immediately do, so sorry, but not sorry. And if anyways, then we kind of read through a bit of Journal of One, And there's apparently a lot of like these new entries and creatures, like one that's about like this sentient video game, which is probably also alluding to that episode where Zeus gets a virtual girlfriend, that being Giffany, who's by the way totally not like Monica from DDLC. And then we get well, that's actually kind of it, to be honest. I mean, the dream basically has Stanley roaming around, you know, one of Ford's labs and coming across Journal 1 and finding that entry about the video game. With the video game kind of reminding me a bit of Danganronpa 2 Goodbye with Despair, or at least it's kind of similar to that, that game Twilight Murder Syndrome or whatever it was. That was one of the motivation things that Monokuma was using. Yeah, and I mean that's kind of it for this video, I guess. Now my throat's sore, so that's fun. First my ass was sore today, which by the way, no, it wasn't because of anything inappropriate. It was because of some bathroom stuff, and no, I won't be giving further detail into it. But at least with what you get from this video is that you get to think about this for a long time for some weird reason. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. I'll definitely be uploading this video today because I kind of got a twofer into comfy corners in a dream journal, so that's nice. But yeah, I'm gonna stop talking now because my throat's sore. Bye.